So God would continue to call me to use my gifts directly to serve him. 6 months after I filmed Faustina, I auditioned for Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen, for a short film called The Two Thieves, about the two thieves crucified alongside Christ. I read for the penitent thief. What a character. Like a lot of the extra biblical material in The Chosen. People here have seen The Chosen? Anybody here has seen The Chosen? Okay. Oh, many of you. Okay, great. So there's a lot of stuff that takes place in between scriptures to fill out these stories, because sometimes we know very, very little about these characters. There's 2 lines, and then you're left to deduce the rest based on scripture, archaeology, what the culture was of the time. So this penitent thief, right? There was it was about how did the penitent thief get to be on the cross. So it was an extra biblical story. And he had a great character arc. He had father issues. It was dramatic. I loved it. I had a great audition. I felt I nailed the emotional scenes. I was pumped. I felt pretty confident. And then a few days later, I was called back to read for Jesus. I was slightly disappointed for 2 reasons. The first was that, clearly, my initial audition didn't go as well as I thought it did. And secondly, Jesus only had like 5 lines. Son of God, 5 lines. Yes, it was the crucifixion, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm sure there's some monologue that, Dallas can write, somewhere. You could cobble it together. No, where was the ark? And God's looking at me like, son, if you don't quite see the arc of humanity in those 5 lines, we've got a lot of work to do here. But of course, Dallas called and said, I want you to play Jesus. Will you do it? I said, yes. Those of you that have seen The Chosen can imagine me 5 years later flipping through episode 1 of The Chosen to see all the lines that Jesus does not have. He's not. Is this the right? I have the right script? I have the right script? Is he just, no, page 53, 54. Oh, okay, finally, he's here. Oh man, Jesus only has like 5 lines. What the? Well, surely episode 2. Let's just get episode 2 out. And nope, he's not there either. Where is he? Not even there. And then the shortest sentence in all of film history. And Jesus winked. Those of you who have seen episode 2 know exactly what I'm talking about. Dear Lord, please let episode 3 have some sort of page. Oh, thank you, Lord. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. I can do the show. Okay, there's more. There's more. St. Jude, I'll get you that $10 after Mass. Thank you for making this work. Pride and humility were the lessons I was being taught all throughout my career and my spiritual life. St. Augustine said it was pride that changed angels into devils. It is humility that makes men as angels. Thus, the 2 thieves would begin a friendship and working relationship between myself and Dallas Jenkins that is now 6 years on. I never thought I'd play Jesus more than once in my life, and then with Dallas, maybe twice. But I was open because I was developing spiritually. The more I studied Jesus, the more I spent time with him and his heart, the closer it brought me to him. The Faustina project and the short films I would do with Dallas over the next 3 years would put me firmly on a path to Christ in ways I never anticipated. Divine mercy would become a part of my prayer prep for playing Christ. A year after The Two Thieves, Faustina actress Maria Vargo asked me to participate in a long-standing production of The Living Stations of the Cross in Santa Monica. Once more, I said yes. I would play Jesus in 3 projects in just 16 months. God was clearly trying to tell me something. This realization precipitated the next stage of development in my spiritual evolution, stage 2, expectant faith. When I combined expectant faith with prayer, I found myself in the midst of a more deeply committed dialogue with God. It wasn't just talking coffee anymore. We were moving into lattes. The journey to performing Christ's passion during Easter was nothing short of transformative for me. The transcendent nature of attempting to dwell as Jesus in peace amidst the brutality of his passion can hardly be described. The following year, I was asked to co-direct and co-produce the production with Ms. Vargo, which would eventually become The Last Days. The Last Days became the inaugural project of our newly established nonprofit media company called G.K. Chesterton Entertainment. And for those who are interested, I actually have copies of that show, The Last Days, with me downstairs. You all are the first to actually even see the DVD. They literally just shipped right here. We've never produced a DVD before, so I'm really excited. So, daily Mass, praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet, daily Mass when I could, because I also had to work, confession, receiving the Eucharist, saying the Rosary, all of those became essential parts of directing, acting, producing, and the modus operandi of any and all issues that seem to arise. And boy, let me tell you, when you're working for Jesus, issues arise, as many of the folks setting up for tonight can attest to. It's as if something or someone doesn't want us to succeed in promoting the gospel. I wonder who that could be. But through prayers and expectant faith, I credit all the doors which opened for us for that particular production, including the contributions which came through discounts companies were giving us, bills that were able to be paid, and even paying actors who for years in doing the last days of the living stations were just doing stuff voluntarily for free. We wanted to pay people to honor their time and their talent, this treasure that they were giving us. Impossible challenges through prayer became divine accomplishments. And I knew that as a company, we would and were experiencing God's unique providence, even though it didn't always happen in the way that we had conceived it. And the graces, there were so many transformative graces. The one that sticks out the most occurred during the production of The Last Days. I believe it was 2018, Easter, where at the beginning of the show, Jesus comes out at the entrance to the church and walks down the center aisle, and I acknowledge people. So I come out and I start walking down the aisle, and about 4 or 5 rows in, this woman starts to stand up from her seat. She's a little older, but she just calls out, "Jesus! Jesus!" And I said, "Oh, is this a plant? What's going on here?" So I started to walk over to her. Sorry. And she had this look in her eyes, this deep, deep sadness and this longing. And I just went over to her, and this is all in 10 seconds. I looked at her right into her eyes, and I just hugged her, because that was what the Spirit was telling me to do. And she immediately began to sob in my chest. The following week, during a recap before our next performances, where we discuss what went well, what didn't go well, one of the cast members stood up and told me that woman was a friend of hers who had recently just lost her adult son in an accident. And that upon seeing me coming down the aisle as Jesus, she just was convinced, like the woman with the 12-year hemorrhage, that if she just touched my cloak, that she could connect to the soul of her son. Humbling, to say the least. St. Vincent de Paul said the most powerful weapon to conquer the devil is humility. For as he does not know at all how to employ it, neither does he know how to defend himself from it. God's mercy flows through humility. Following that performance, one of the most profound moments of God's mercy in my own life would arrive during the height of my struggle as an actor 8 years in LA, which would inevitably lead to stage 3, total surrender, combined with stage 1, prayer, and stage 2, expectant faith. There was no denying that the Lord was doing a work of preparation in me. To maintain the coffee talk analogy, stage 3 is what I would consider the extra large triple shot Spanish latte with oat milk. Dairy allergies, what can you do? Stage 3 is where God got real with me, or more accurately, I got real with God. With all the time I'd spent playing Christ, my faith and prayer life were very active, but not more active than me. What do I mean by that? I mean, I was doing everything within my power to make my career happen. I prayed, I had faith, I had expectant faith even, but I was also juggling 7 different side jobs at that point. The deception was I didn't have a choice. I had to work. No, I didn't. God's like, hey, let me help. No, I got this, God. I'm doing everything. I'm sending auditions. I'm sending emails. I'm looking for ways to, God, let me help you. No, I got this. Listen, I got this. Okay, you got this. And I tried to get it. I tried to do it all myself. 7 jobs, rideshare driver, cater waiter for 3 companies, brand ambassador, means you advertise a bunch of stuff, dialect coach, I do different dialects, special needs assistant, I still do that, storyboard artist, and I even gripped. The stands that are set up to shape the light on a film set or movie set, I put those up. Occasionally, very occasionally, I'd book a voiceover job, or every couple of years, a TV acting gig. But I wasn't making a living in LA, and I was struggling. It's like the more jobs I took, the less money I made. I said, how does that math work? How does that even work? When it came to my career, I had one prayer for 8 years in Los Angeles. I said, Lord, if there's anything else you see me doing, if there's any other way that you wish me to serve you outside of being an artist, please tell me what it is, because this is really hard. Silence. The desire never left to be an artist, to act. It only increased. The opportunities were virtually non-existent. I couldn't understand it, and I couldn't take it anymore. I hit my limit. So on a Saturday in May, I woke up in debt, $100 overdrawn, $20 in my pocket, so zero, really, and no food in my house. So I did what I always did, and I dropped to my knees in prayer. But this time was different. This time I was operating from a place of absolute brokenness. And I said, Lord, I've done everything you've asked me, as far as I can tell. I've asked you to show me something different if that's what you've called me to do. You haven't. I thought, Lord, you help those who help themselves. That's what I've been doing, 7 jobs. Is that not helping myself? What am I doing wrong? How much more can I help myself? And I'm still struggling in a way I never thought I would be at this point in my life. So if you want me to keep going here, Lord, you need to step in, because I physically can't do it anymore, okay? I'm surrendering it all to you, because you said your yoke is easy and your burden is light. So here, you take it, Lord. I'm giving you all my problems and I'm stepping back, man. I surrender. And for the first time in my life, I actually did. I gave up all my expectations of how I thought my career would go, how I thought I'd make money, how I would get paid, where the food would come from, And I simply surrendered. Body, mind, and spirit. I remember feeling this sense of relief. You ever feel that? It's like, not my job. It wasn't my problem. I didn't have the answers. But now it didn't matter anymore. Because God, our God is mercy. Our God is compassion. Our God is faithful to His word and hears the cries of the poor. And that day, I woke up very, very poor. But in the afternoon, the Lord was true to His word. I picked up my mail, and there were 3 checks waiting for me, which covered my bills, put food on the table, and restored my financial standing. I nearly passed out. In a matter of hours, through prayer, expectation, and surrender, my life completely changed that day. And I've never worried about anything in the same way since. I still have the same problems I did before, but just not in that way. Different things. But when they come, I don't approach them in the same way anymore, because it's not up to me. I do everything that I know I can do, and I just surrender. Matthew chapter 6:25 has become particularly resonant for me. I imagine Jesus standing there and saying to me, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing?" Truth. So, of course, I still, as I said, suffer the same slings and arrows and hitches of the human condition that we all do. But that financially inciting incident to my deeper conversion, that reversion, that born-again Catholic catharsis, was and continues to be evidence of God's mercy and grace abounding in my life. That He compels me to share as a testament that if we are humble, willing, and faithful enough to submit and trust Him, then with prayer, expectant faith, and complete surrender, anything is not only possible, but promised, because He is mercy. Thank you so kindly. God bless you.